Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about parallelism, which is also known as parallel structure. And what it means is basically using the same pattern of words to show that two or more ideas have the same level of importance. Um, so the usual way to join parallel structures is with the use of coordinating conjunctions such as and or. A lot of times you will encounter issues with parallelism when you have sentences that are lists. So when different things are being listed in a sentence, it's really important that they have a uniform structure, that they have that uniform parallel structure. Okay, so this is a little bit more complicated than run-on sentences and fragments because there are a lot of different types of parallel structure, a lot of different ways that you can make small errors in parallel structure. So let's take a look. All right. So one of the common ones is if you have words ending in ing. So basically, if you have a list of words ending in ing, everything in the list has to have that ending, right? So for example, Mary likes hiking, swimming, and bicycling, right? You wouldn't say Mary likes hiking, swimming, and to ride her bicycle, right? Because that to ride doesn't match the other items in the list, right? Hiking, swimming, bicycling. They all are in the same list. They're all going to end with that ing. Okay. If you have infinitive phrases, right? So for example, Mary likes to hike, to swim, and to ride a bicycle. Okay. So each of those is beginning with to, right? You can also say Mary likes to hike, swim, and ride a bicycle. And then that to applies to everything in the list. What you don't want to say is Mary likes to hike, to swim, and riding a bicycle. Because now you have that ing word that doesn't match your infinitives, right? So you either want to have everything end in ing, right? Hiking, swimming, riding, or you want them all to match with that infinitive phrase. To hike, swim, and ride, or to hike, to swim, to ride. Okay, so just to note that you can use the to before all the verbs in the sentence or just before the first one, but don't put it in front of some of them and not all of them, right? So like Mary likes to hike, swim, and to ride a bicycle. Now swim is going to jump out at your reader as, why doesn't swim get to have that word, right? So you could say Mary likes to hike, swim, and ride, or Mary likes to hike, to swim, and to ride. Okay, with adverbs and adjectives. Basically, everything in the list should have either all adverbs or all adjectives if you're describing things. So for example, the production manager was asked to write his report quickly, accurately, and thoroughly, right? Those are all adverbs ending with ly. Or the production manager was asked to write his report in a quick, accurate, and detailed manner. All adjectives. Quick, accurate, detailed, all adjectives. What you don't want to do is mix and match. The production manager was asked to write his report quickly, accurately, and in a detailed manner. Now we have two adverbs, right? Quickly, accurately, and then an adjective, detailed, right? So everything in the sentence needs to match. Okay. Also, you want to think about when you have different types of phrases. Okay, so for example, the teacher said that he had to retake chemistry because he waited until the last minute to study for the exam, completed his lab problems in a careless manner, and lacked motivation. Okay, so everything in that sentence, right, it's listed out, and we just have three past tense verbs: waited, completed, lacked. All right, not parallel would be the teacher said that he had to retake chemistry because he waited until the last minute to study for the exam, completed his lab problems in a careless manner, and his motivation was low, right? So you have waited and completed. Those are both past tense verbs. Then that last part, his motivation was low. It doesn't match the rest of the sentence, right? So you have to say lacked motivation so that it's another past tense verb. Okay, with clauses. The coach told the players that they should get a lot of sleep. that they should not eat too much, and that they should do some warm-up exercises before the game, right? So all of those are, they should do this, they should do this, they should do this, right? You could also say, the coach told the players they should get a lot of sleep, not eat too much, and do some warm-up exercises before the game, right? So all of those are applying to that they should, right? That they should get a lot of sleep, not eat too much, do some warm-up exercises, right? So either of those is fine, right? You can put that clause that they should before everything in the list or just at the beginning. Not parallel would be, the coach told the players that they should get a lot of sleep, that they should not eat too much, and to do some warm-up exercises before the game. That last one doesn't match, right? To do, it's different than everything else in the list, which is that clause that they should. All right, a note about clauses. You can put that clause before all the verbs in the sentence or before the first one, but don't put it in front of some and not others. For example, the coach told the players that they should get a lot of sleep, not eat too much, and that they should do some warm-up exercises before the game, right? So two of those things get to have the clause that they should, and then one doesn't, so it doesn't match, right? It messes up the balance of the sentence. And that's really what you're doing with parallel structure, is you're just trying to make sure, you know, everything in the sentence is really balanced and uniform, because it can be kind of clunky or even confusing to the reader if everything in the sentence doesn't match. All right, and the reason that parallelism is particularly important in English 101 is because we're working with a three-point thesis. And a three-point thesis is essentially, you know, it's a list, right? It's a list of three things. So you want to make sure that you understand how to write that thesis statement in parallel structure, right? When you're listing three items, right, the three things that you're going to be talking about over the course of your essay, you want to make sure that you're maintaining that parallelism. All right. A lot of times you will have lists that follow colons, right? So for example, the dictionary can be used to find these, right? A lot of times that colon there indicates that a list is coming. When you have items in a list, they have to all match, right? They have to be parallel. So word meanings, pronunciations, correct spellings, irregular verbs. We have a list of plural nouns there. Meanings, pronunciations, spellings, verbs. Not parallel would be, the dictionary can be used to find these: word meanings, pronunciations, correct spellings, and looking up irregular verbs, right? Looking up, that completely changes the structure of the list, right? Now suddenly we have that ing verb when it was supposed to just be a list of plural nouns. Okay, proofreading strategies. When you are looking for parallel structure, it is helpful to just look for any lists or any times that, different, words or phrases are being connected to each other, because as soon as they're being connected, they need to have that parallel structure. So you can skim your paper and, you can skim your paper and pause at words such as and or. Check both sides of the words to make sure that the items that are being joined with those words are parallel. As always, it really helps to read aloud. So if you listen to the sound of the items in a list or items being compared, right, do you hear the same kinds of sounds, right? So is there a series of ing words in a row? Do you hear some sort of rhythm being repeated? If anything is breaking that rhythm or repetition of sound, check to see if it needs to be made parallel. A lot of times, if a sentence feels awkward and you can't really pinpoint why, the reason will be because it doesn't have parallel structure. Okay. And that is it for parallelism. So really the main thing to remember there is just that everything within the sentence needs to basically follow the same structure, right? So if you're listing things in a sentence, if you're joining ideas together in a sentence, you want them to, really create that smooth rhythm to the sentence, and parallel structure really helps with that. All right, so that is my third video. If you haven't already, make sure that you watch the video on run-on sentences, and that you watch the video on fragments, and that you take the short quizzes that accompany each of those videos.